All right, folks, yes, good afternoon in my area. Let me see, some of you it's already maybe good morning or even good evening. I want to thank you very much each and every Saturday for tuning into my live, as we normally do from around 4 Saturdays back, where we have a little chit chat every Saturday as it relates or as it pertains to Dominica, that is your country, my country, Dominica. Some of you may be wondering where I am at this time. Those of you who have not left so long, you maybe can detect already where I am this afternoon. That is, I am up at Monbruce area. That's in the Kings Hill area, up at that very peak called Monbruce. A very interesting discussion coming up, so all I ask is that you please stay tuned. What you can see here in the foreground is a very good view of Roseau. That's the city. It's a very panoramic view, I must say. Lots of colors in there. The greenery, the lush greenery is taking over as well. And it's always my pleasure to just speak to us and let us better understand certain things that is going on in our country, especially as it relates to our governance. All right, folks. So again, I just want to welcome everyone who is already tuned in. And all I ask of you before we start this afternoon's discussion in earnesty is to like the live first of all, and then I'd really beseech of you to share that live, because the information that is being dispensed each and every Saturday afternoon is it's critical information as it pertains to governance and also education and as well information. So I would just really like that if you like the live first of all, but more importantly share the live. And as I continue to say, what we are discussing here, it is really and truly for all Dominicans, no matter where you are, but it is for primarily for the persons who are on the other side of things. I call them the persons who don't love their country where governance is concerned. These are the persons really and truly. You see a beautiful sunset, folks? What a beautiful sunset. What a piece of sunset in the back, in the foreground. Seen that sunset, folks? Lovely. Lovely. All right. This afternoon, I choose to topic this discussion a more viable alternative to the people of Dominica than this bogus $64,000 rent that the person who is in the seat of the Prime Minister in Dominica is asking us Dominicans to pay. I know it's a lengthy topic, but that is what I choose to headline this discussion this afternoon. All right? It is a more viable alternative to the people, to we the people of Dominica, than this bogus, I call it $64,000 and counting rent that the person who is in the seat of the Prime Minister of Dominica wants us to pay for him each and every month, that is. All right, folks, so as I said, we are up at the top of Monbruce. Let me just bring you to view something now as we get our conversation going this afternoon. So I'm going to take a little walk across, and I'm going to bring you to an area where we will start our conversation in earnesty this afternoon. That for sure will set the pace for the discussion coming up. All right, let me just make sure I can get all of that thing in the frame. All right, okay. Voila. I hope everybody's getting everything in the frame. Voila, good. Now, what I'm going to do for you folks, that is a some bit of information that is erected up at Mon Bruce, and it basically tells us, it gives us a historical perspective as to why Mon Bruce, why this place is called Mon Bruce, every and anything that went on there as it pertains to our history. And it is a very, very interesting piece of information that is encrypted here on that board. I will take my time to go through it with us so that we get a good understanding or better understanding of this area in Dominica called Mon Bruce. I must say it's a lovely scene up here. It really is breathtaking up there, and whenever you come to Dominica, you should make Mon Bruce part of your coming back here sightseeing tour. All right, good. I'm just going to go across that board and read exactly what is on that board, so we now can get a better understanding of Mon Bruce. As I said, it is headlined Mon Bruce Garrison, the defense of Roseau. And you can see the lovely soldiers there, those guys who protected Dominica in one shape or the other before, long before we were here. All right. This caption starts by saying, Dominica was ceded to Britain by the Treaty of Paris in 1763. To keep the island under her rule, Britain had to defend it from the French. Some small forts were started in 1765. Military engineers were commissioned to produce plans for the defense of the colony. Captain James Bruce, Royal Engineer, was head of that project. In March 1770, he dispatched a report to London giving his proposals, maps, and design for major fortifications needed for the island. The second paragraph, extensive plans were made for the fortification of this site, which was called Guy's Hill, where French settlers had installed some guns before British came. This was to be the main garrison on the island. The name was later changed to Mon Bruce in honor of the engineer himself. The cliffs and steep slopes which surrounded it on three sides gave it natural security for the defense of Roseau. Work on Mon Bruce garrison began in 1771. Enslaved Africans, laborers, and skilled craftsmen were rented by the government from planters to cut stones from quarries, carry boulders, haul cannons, and clear land. When Britain had completed the project, 235 cannons of varying types and sizes were pointing seawards from the coast of Dominica, waiting for the enemy. Many British, French, and West Indies regiments served here. Now, folks, I'm going to go now into the last paragraph and listen to the last paragraph very, very carefully. Mon Bruce garrison was closed in July of 1854, and most of the cannons were removed. The top of the plateau, meaning where we are standing now, was held for government use up to the present day. It served at various times as hospitals, infirmary, agricultural school, and residences of government officials. Let me let that line sink in again, folks. It served at various times as schools, hospital, infirmary, agricultural school, and residences for government officials. The last line reads, now the main soldiers' barracks are used as the training, or rather the police training school. Okay? That is what is on here, folks, as it pertains to information that is encrypted on here. Now, what I want to do, I just want to go in a little closer to that to give us an idea of this 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 4 drawings on there, so you can get a better appreciation of what these drawings are depicting. Let me just see if I could go a little closer up so you can get a better idea. Let me just zoom on there a little more. Now, the arrows basically on, it would be on my left, I guess it's to your right. The heading reads, British attack on Roseau in 1761. Okay, so this is that frame right here. And the arrow now, it is showing a shot of Roseau, how Roseau was in 1761 when the British attacked Roseau. Now the arrow, what you're seeing right here, it is pointing to the plateau where I am standing right now. That is the Monbrose area. Okay, good. Let's move to the second picture. The second picture basically shows the same thing, but this time it is not under attack. Sorry about that, the young lady just parking a vehicle. All right, and the caption here reads, Roseau from the sea, 1837. Now again, the arrow is pointing here. That is where, no problem, darling. That is where we are at now, where the arrow is pointing on top right here. That is Monbrose right here. The third frame, the third picture, it is a more bushy Monbrose, not Mondaniel, Monbrose. Okay, it is a much more wooded Monbrose right here. But again, the arrow depicts where I am standing and where we'll be having that discussion later on. Okay, good. There's another caption up here. Let me just move it up. This here, remember we spoke of this guy, Mr. Captain Bruce, and that is why this area, it was renamed after him. He was Captain Bruce, who basically had a lot to do with this. What you're seeing there in the frame now is the plan that Captain Bruce drew, the designs that he made in order to fortify or help secure Roseau that we know for our capital today. So that is the plan right here. Okay, the actual plan, the drawings that this guy, Captain Bruce, he was an engineer in the British Army back then. That was his plan that he drew. And again, the arrow is pointing to where on his plan we are standing right now. Let us go a little above that frame. Okay, so let me just read that for you. French plan of Monbrose 1780. Let's go a little higher above. Okay, and what this says here is exactly what I was trying to explain down here before. It says Captain Bruce planned forts and batteries around Roseau to protect the town and the bays to the north and south of the capital. He laid out Melville's battery overlooking Newtown, expanded Fort Young to contain 17 cannons. He designed defenses for Mont Desmoulins, Loubier, and also Woodbridge Bay. All right, so that was the great work done by Captain Bruce. This here is the final frame. Basically gives us an idea of the different fortifications that Captain Bruce did around Roseau. Really, we have one at Loubier. There was a barrack at Loubier. There was also one at Melville Battery. Melville Battery is to the south of us. There was also another one. Well, we are right here now at Monbrose. That's the Monbrose garrison site where we are now. There's also depicting one at Fonkole. All right, Fonkole. There's also another garrison at Fonkole, and there was also one at Mont Daniel. All right, Mont Daniel signal station. That is where I guess they would pick up whoever enemies were coming across, and they had their way of indicating or sending signals to the different barracks back then, so that men could take their position to defend this country, Dominica. Right here again, this long wiry thing you see like a little worm, it depicts the Roseau River running right through the city of Roseau. All right, good. So folks, that is basically what is written here on this nicely posted sign, I must say, up at Monbrose, giving a brief description as to what happened at Monbrose very, very long time ago, and also what should be happening at Monbrose even in these times. Now, let me show you now. Let me move across a little away. Let me show you now some of the properties in that area. Okay, I can see from my vantage point 5 properties. This here is one property. Let me just zoom in on it a little bit. As you can see, the roof of that building, it is basically off by half. All right, the blue and white strips you see in there, that is the zinc on there. But if you notice, the half of that building is the roof is gone. You have absolutely no windows in the upper section of that roof, no doors as well, and that is gone. Below, downstairs here is something like a downstairs. I'm seeing this sign here as if it's a latrine or some toiletry area that was erected down here. Okay, so that is one property up at Monbrose that is in still a state of disrepair after Hurricane Maria, folks. Let me zoom across to this property across here. That's another property across here. All right, that one again is in a very bad state. It needs a lot of repair. Let me just zoom on it. If you see the back end of the part of the building facing us, where you have the netted blocks in front, the back end of that roof is completely gone. Okay, there was also a drop shed like a patio. The roof of that is completely gone as well. So that is property number 2 that is still in a state of disrepair. What you're seeing in here, that little blue and white thing you're seeing just behind that little bushy area, that is like an outhouse that was there, and also that blue and white thing is a generator that is laying there in ruins, I guess. If you can look at the vegetation surrounding this property, is very, very bushy. So I can tell you, based on just what I'm seeing, that grass has not been cut for maybe about a year or 2 years. Okay, good. Now folks, let us take another look. Okay, that equipment you've seen in front there, that is one of the portable signal towers that were brought in from one of these companies, either Digicel or Lime, when we suffered that very bad beating from Maria. So that is one of the equipments that is left there on site, but it's no longer in use. Quote unquote, we are back up in terms of signal in Dominica. Now at the back of that equipment is again yet another property, folks. That one, you can see the roof, the zinc is gone. Absolutely nothing is on there. All right, absolutely nothing is on there. So that is property number 3. Now let me see if I can move a little away to give you an idea of property number 4 and number 5. Property number 4 and property number 5, they are a little away from me, but I'll try my best to do the best that I can in terms of giving you an earshot of it, right? Good. Property number 4, let me just pull that in. Property number 4 is this property here. Okay, that is behind of property number 1 that I just showed you a while ago. So that is directly behind this property. That's another house here that is basically, to me, this building just need to be torn down and rebuilt. So that is property number 4. Property number 5, let me just see if I can move across a little. Property number 5, it is way in the foreground up here, but let me zoom in on the rafters. Right here. Okay, folks, this is just an idea of property number 5. Based on my location, I cannot give you a better shot than that, but it's a very huge place inside of there. That is property number 5. And I am being told from reliable sources, that property number 5 is where past prime ministers used to have as their residence. All right? Property number 5, which is this one. I'm being reliably told is that one. Okay? These other properties in question, they used to be used for different occasions or different persons at different times. In terms of governance of this country, were used by different people. This property I showed you a while ago, which is this one. All right? I came there once, maybe about 15 years ago, to do some repairs for a judge that was living in that property. Okay, so I can confirm I came to this property about 15 years ago to do some necessary repairs to some equipment they had in there. But a judge, I was called by a judge to do repairs to some equipment that he had in that property. Now this here is the road that leads now to the cross. A lot of you would remember that nice cross overhanging Roseau. So that is the road that leads to the cross. All right, we don't have time tonight to head to the cross. Maybe some other time we will visit that old rugged cross. Well, if I pan my camera across, that is now the slope. The slope that is heading down. If you go down that slope, down that area, you will be heading down to the gardens area. There's a trail coming up from under the cross area coming up called Jack's Walk. That is where I believe one of our ancestral guys, Jacko, he used that trail to do his run-ins when he and others were protecting Dominica as well in their own liquor way. All right, folks. So that in a nutshell, folks, is the surrounding where I am this afternoon. Okay, I am up at Monbrose. Okay, that is the. Let me just, before that sun really set on us, let me just give us a last glance of the city before the sun really sets on us here, so you can see the kind of beauty that we're talking about when we talk about our lovely country, Dominica. All right, good. That is the city. That is the city here. Lovely city. The lights are starting to come on, so in a while night will be resting on me here. But thanks to one of you viewing, I am a little better equipped tonight with some lighting, so we shouldn't have a problem with lighting later on. All right, good. That is basically this panoramic view of Monbrose. A young lady and a young man is just chilling out, you know. That is what most young people or people in general come to do at the top of Monbrose. Just come to chill and just watch the city. All right, let me just watch these lovely trees. All right, these lovely trees. That is basically the sitting area right here. Okay. Now, even at the back here, there as well is another property that is left in ruins. This one right here. This one right here. Basically bush, grass, trees, whatever has taken over it. But it's another one of the old barrack buildings that is left here. And it is sure in need of some kind of repair. All right, good. Now for security purposes, folks, I will not move too much higher, because what is happening here, if there's a road, a main road now that leads up to the police training school, all right, and I don't want to jeopardize security in any way, shape or form, so I will not put my camera in that direction for security purposes. But right here, there's a road between these two properties. There's a road leading up to the police training school. All right, folks, good. So now that I've given you a little tour, okay, I have one more thing to show you before I start the discussion. I have one more thing to show you. A nice little innovation. A nice little innovation. Nice little innovation. Let me just show you one more thing that is erected here, that is of note. This here, I don't know if you can see what is here, but I will just explain it. This here, folks, is it is called for an equipment for distant viewing. It is basically something like a binoculars that is set up here. It is erected on a pole with a very heavy base. All right, I don't know who erected it, but I believe it is a good gesture. Let me just give you a view of it. That is what it looks like from the eye area. All right, so but this is a money this, folks, is a money making machine that is there. Right here I'm touching, you'd put some, I guess you'd have to put some coins in there, tokens or whatever it is, and then I guess the lens would open up and you'd put your eyes through these two lenses, and you'd be able to see or zoom on areas in Ruzu to get a much closer view. Okay, so whoever came up with that idea, I want to thank them for that in terms of having a much better view of Ruzu. So that is it, folks. That is the lovely Caribbean Sea right here, across here. That is your Ruzu. If you look at that little circular thing you see right here, it is the Windsor Park Sports Stadium. That is what I know. I know it is being called something else, but that is what I know, and that is what I'll choose to call it right here, the Windsor Park Sports Stadium right here. Okay, lots of sports are being played. This afternoon when I came here earlier on, there was a football match going on right here, and I think a goal was scored or something, and I could even hear the roar from all the way up here, because you know noise usually rise. Okay, that is the Windsor Park Sports Stadium right here. This here in the background as well, in the foreground, sorry, is the financial center right here. Okay, that building in the frame, that tallish one right here. What building of note again I'm seeing there? Visibility is kind of poor now, but you're getting an idea of the view from Monbrose down on the city. Okay, when the cruise ship, the cruise liners comes, you normally see them right across here, and it is a much added spectacle to what we see now. So the cruise ships normally dock right here on the bayfront, and it's a lovely view as well. But we know because of COVID, then there's nothing in terms of ships so far coming to Dominica. Okay, right, good. So basically that is it here. That area here, basically I'm staring down now the gardens. If you're seeing vehicles are passing right here now, that is the botanical gardens right down here. Vehicles are passing through the botanical gardens. If you notice some vehicles passing across the other lane, that other lane is Bath Road. Yes, Bath Road, I believe, where all its lights are. But this here is the concrete strip that is passing all through the gardens. Okay, right here, this little place here, can anybody tell me what is here? Can anybody tell me what is here? Right here. Right here is the botanical gardens ground. It is the pitch is covered. This afternoon again when I came there, a cricket match was being played right there. So those of you, the elderly folks, you would have known Dominica, and lots and loads of cricket would have been played right here in your growing up days. All right? Right. Thank you, Helena Mongery, the cricket field. Thank you very much. Okay, good. So folks, that in a nutshell is what I can show you this afternoon in terms of your country, or your city rather, Dominica, part of your country, Dominica. All right, let me just get that thing erected properly so that I could start my little discussion with you to bring our conversation to a wrap in a while. What's the time? Oh, it's 34 minutes already past the hour. Okay, good. Let me just all right, good folks. Now remember the first sign that we went and we read on that sign about Monbrose and whatever Monbrose was used for, and how it was protected from whoever. Example, this guy, Captain Bruce. I now want to, folks, kind of tie in that discussion that I had earlier and juxtapose it now against something that is unfolding in our Dominica as we speak. It is the topic for tonight's discussion. It is where the person who is sitting in the Prime Minister's seat of Dominica, that is Roosevelt Skerrit, he is asking us, the citizenry, through the Treasury of Dominica, to pay for him $64,000 and counting. And no, Frank, there's no lights in the stadium. $64,000 and counting for rent. What he says is rent. I am of the opinion that that is a bogus call for rent, but we will keep it for rent. We'll keep it as rent for now. Okay? On the writing over there, you remember the last paragraph, folks, what it said? It basically said, this here where we are standing, this area, Monbrose, was earmarked before, and it was used for infirmary once upon a time, hospitals at a certain time, agricultural school at a certain time in our history. But more importantly, they spelled out for us that government officials or government offices, that is the area that was and is still being earmarked for government people or for some government businesses to go on. And it is well established that the residents of some of our prime ministers who passed and served Dominica, they lived up at Monbrose. That was their residence in terms of official residence. And that is the point I want us to really get this afternoon, because a lot of persons have been calling the radio and making the same point, that why would Roosevelt Skerrit want to deviate from the norm, go against the grain, go against the flow, and would now want to isolate himself in Mont Daniel or at Mont Daniel in a fortified fortress, what we call in Dominica the palatial mansion. And when, as I showed you this afternoon, you have 5 properties that is basically running down, they need to be repaired, and out of those 5 properties, 1 of them, it was and is still being earmarked as the official residence of the Prime Minister. That question for sure needs answering. Why would Roosevelt Skerrit in a time like this, folks, in a time like this? Hi, Jana, how are you? In a time like this, place on the backs of Dominicans, ordinary Dominicans, a kind of a bill, a very exorbitant bill of $64,000 and counting for him and his family and whoever he chooses to rent at Mount Daniel. The question must be asked, why? Folks, just stick up in there. I'll be right back. Let me just get a charger. I forgot to put my power pack on that. I'm seeing my battery's running low. I'll be right back. Just give me about a minute. I'm gonna get a power pack before you see my frame go blank and you keep wondering what is happening. I'll be back. Alright, I think we are now good to go. Let me just ensure that I push this in. Alright, voila, we are good to go. Alright, as I told you tonight, we have lighting. So let me just put on a little light here. And that should do the trick. Alright, good. Let me just make you see my... Good. Alright, so as I was saying, folks, that is a multi-million-dollar question in Dominica at this time. Why would a man be sitting in the seat of the Prime Minister, would be sitting in the seat of Prime Minister in Dominica, and would want to ask us to help him pay or pay for him a bill of over $64,000 for rent, what he alleges to be rent. Some persons are saying it is not rent, it is something else. But just for that conversation, I will stick to rent. I am of the firm opinion it is a bogus call. It is not for rent. It is something much more sinister than that. Because we remember when Al Jazeera brought out that story and asked the question, the all-important question of Roosevelt, whether he was building a mansion in Mount Daniel. He categorically denied it and said no. Now that mansion is set in stone. It is on the ground. Then it has to be occupied. Somebody has to occupy it. And who in Dominica, folks? Who in Dominica could this man, Anthony Hayden and others from MMC, build a kind of property like that at Mount Daniel to be renting for? Who? Folks, $32,000 is no joke in our economy. $32,000 is a serious dent in anybody's pocket in Dominica. And the associated cost that goes with it of another 32 and counting for insurance and all the madness that goes with it. And it's amount to more than $64,000. And let me just make it clear. I saw sometime last week that some, I would want to say, haters of Dominica, when I normally do my live, you come and you say that I am lying, I'm not speaking the truth. Why say 64 when it's 32? So for you and others who think that I'm not speaking the truth, I'm speaking the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The rent, Austria said the rent is only $32,000. But we all know, and we are hearing of the same ministers talking about the cost that is associated with that rent. So it's a package, my friend. So you cannot want to have your pie and eat it, as they say. If you agree into 32, you have to agree to the cost that goes with the 32. And that is adding up to $64,000. So it is not a figure that I'm making up. It is not a figure that I'm making up. All right? And you saw it this afternoon in my background here at the back of me. 5 properties, folks. 5 properties that is in a state of disarray. Totally abandoned by the government of the day. And one of those properties, it is earmarked for him and his family to be living in as the state providing residence for him. But no. So what is in that plan? That he would want to go and move away so far from this area, which is a much more fortified area. Roosevelt don't even have a clue of the historical perspective or the historical importance of that area. Although they may be spelling it out for him on a board, whereby persons serve Dominica, persons gave their life for Dominica, to protect Dominica. And these people, they were very wise people. And they said they allocated an area for government and government businesses to keep running. Back then it was so, and they expected it to be so today. But lo and behold, no. This government is caught up in too much other business or other businesses than running the country, Dominica, in a right way. So 5 properties that I saw this afternoon. It may have more. 5, well 6, because I showed you the barrack in the background over there. 5+ properties needs serious repair. And not a stone is moved in that area. Not even the grass that is cut on a regular basis for when tourists come there, or when Dominicans rather come there. At least the aesthetics of the place would be a little welcoming. Totally abandoned. If you have to go by the cross now, again, we didn't have time to walk down there. You'd see the kind of bush that would be on both sides, greeting you as you go into the cross. And some persons would want to tell me that I hate somebody or I anti this. I am anti nobody. I am for my country, and whatever is not right in my country, I reserve my right to speak to it in a very unreserved fashion. And so whoever, like you normally do, come at me and come at others for speaking truth, then you have a long thing coming. Because I for sure will not stop in speaking my mind as it relates to my country, Dominica. If you don't want to protect Dominica, I want to. That is the country of my birth. And I treasure it with everything that I got. And I cannot see one man and a set of rogues, I call them, bring this country to the rubble and just sit by and say nothing. Sit by and do nothing. No. No. So whatever is the intention of this government to kill Dominica, to bring it to its knees, to have their foot on Dominica's neck, let us folks be the ones to release and relieve that pressure of Dominica's neck. We have to rise up, folks, and do something for our country. We have to be prepared to act on behalf of our country. We have to. These men that I showed you on the board earlier, the French, the British, the Kalinagos, they did what they had to do for this country. And we are basically now reaping the rewards of their hard work. We are basically basking in their hard work. That's what we are doing. So are we not prepared to do our part as it relates to our doing as well to safeguard and keep this country together? Are we not prepared to do that? There's a saying that says, politicians come and politicians go, and I believe that very well. But our country should be here to stay for posterity. And I don't want to leave behind a country for my children to be very troubled in later on. I have enough trouble in Dominica already. And if I leave it so, that trouble will be doubled and tripled, or even quadrupled. And my children, somebody was just calling, they will not forgive me for not standing in the gap for them. It's 6:50, so I'm already 5 minutes past my time, but I hope you can bear with me tonight. We can go up till 7 o'clock tonight, another 10 minutes. All right? That is all that I do for my country, is to ensure whatever I do is to try to inspire myself, first of all, to do for my country, and also other people, to spur them on, to give them the drive to do for Dominica. That is all. Dominica is a lovely gem. A matter of fact, it is called the Nature Isle of the Caribbean, and we want it to remain so. It is the malgovernance that is killing this country. You remember those days, folks, when you were growing up? Those of you who are much older than me, how Dominica was the pride of the Caribbean. You used to be smiling away when you heard that name, Dominica. Persons would want to come and see what is that country called Dominica. Healthcare was right up, agriculture was right up, business was right up, and everything was flowing, quote unquote. Compare Dominica 20-25 years back then to what we have now. We have a stagnant economy, a passport selling economy, and to add salt to injury, as they say, passports are being sold. And unlike other countries, we are not even seeing the benefits of selling those passports. We are not. So our birthright is being sold out there to make our lives better, which is something I do subscribe to. But if it's that it is, it's that it is. If you have a government that doesn't have innovative ideas, if they don't have innovative ideas, then obviously it's passports and passports only. Passports and passports only. They will revert to selling. Miss Lewis, I see your comment. I try my very, very best to take care of myself and to be careful as the best of my ability to protect myself. But my country, Dominica, and Mr. Clarence Christian, sir, please do not come under my life tonight and talk any crap. I was going to use another word, but I'll respect you as a senior. All right? Please do not come under my life tonight and talk any crap. Dominica is serious business now. And there's a block button or delete button for you in particular. Okay? So once I see your comments are out of whack, then I reserve the right to do what I have to do to protect the sanity of the other persons viewing here tonight. Alright? So just please keep yourself in check. That's all I'm telling you. You, Mr. Clarence Christian. Good. Let's continue, folks. That is our country, Dominica. And it is just what it is. It is just what it is. And if somebody decides they want to send me home before the good Lord above is willing, then that it is what it is. I fear no man, but I fear only him who can kill both body and soul. Somebody may kill my body, but they sure did not or will not or cannot kill my soul. Dominica is a very, very serious concern now in terms of governance or the mal-governance thereabout. And I reserve my right as a citizen to say exactly what's on my mind once I'm not defaming anybody, once I'm not lying on anybody, once I'm not putting anybody in any predicament in terms of falsehood. That is where it's at, folks. That is where it's at. So folks out there, I just want to leave you with a very encouraging and upbeat night tonight. Please let us continue to do what we can do for our country. Let us speak on her behalf. Let us rise to the occasion and do for our country. When the history of this country will be written, let it be said of you and others, there were people who were standing and upholding our country. Let it be said that about you. Let that be said about you. It is a collective responsibility, yes, but all of us have our little part to play in that collective responsibility. And do never think that your part that you're playing, it is too small to add to the wider or the common good of our country. It was Haile Selassie who once said, and I quote, "For the freedom of all to prevail, and for peace and security to prevail, never underestimate the power of your spark, because it only takes a spark to get a fire going." Those were the words of Haile Selassie. This statement epitomizes the singular effort. But those singular efforts, folks, trust me, when they are combined, you never can imagine what can happen. Take a box of matches. You take one grain from that box, a child can break that. A child. Take that same box of matches, folks, and put the 50 sticks or 40 sticks or whatever number of sticks in there from that box. Put them together in a bundle. And I dare you, not a child now, a big man or big woman, to break that. That is the power of collective effort. The saying still true. Divided we fall, united we stand. And it is time for us to be united around and surround Dominica, folks. My heart aches, it pains to see the decadence in which my country has befallen. It pains me. It really do pains me at times. And that is where I just always want to encourage, be that beacon of hope, be that beacon of light, be whatever it is, for us as a people to struggle on, to burst through the seams of entanglement of what is besetting us, and be prepared to do for our country, folks. 6:53. So, folks, there's much more to be said, but I know I don't want to take a whole night. I can stay there talking for 4 hours or 5 hours straight, but I want to give it to us in doses. When you go to the doctor, if you drink a whole bottle of medication, your ache will not go, I can tell you that. As a matter of fact, it will do you more harm. You need to take it in doses. So that is what I want us to do each and every Saturday, to take it in doses. We'll be going around the country, around Dominica, I can tell you that. And to speak to the good, but also highlight the bad. Okay? That is what I have pledged to do for and on behalf of my country. So, as I said, it is minutes to 7 now. Normally it's 45 minutes wrap, but choose to go a little later tonight, 15 minutes, because we had a board dealing with tonight. So, folks, I just want to thank us as a collective. We just have to continue to keep our country together. Pray for our fellow man, so that everything will be, at the end of the day, what we all want Dominica to be: the best country in the region, or in the world, as a matter of fact. Dominica is a blessed country, folks. Blessed country. But they say corruption kills. And yes, it kills. A lot of countries that have resources, natural resources on par. Watch them today. Watch them today. Watch Venezuela today, folks. You have an elite few in Venezuela reaping from the cream of the crop of the country. And you have the greater good, the masses, quote unquote. They are struggling to make ends meet. Watch Haiti. Watch Haiti, folks. And I'm within the region. Watch Haiti. Haitians have to be running helter-skelter all over the place. I don't blame them, because they are running from evil. When a man as president would turn his country and would sell his country, or to give over his country to the evil one, what else do you expect? And so, folks, wherever there is corruption, you have that level of decadence where governance is concerned. Because these people, they are so into their corrupt mode and corrupt actions and activities that the things that pertain to proper governing of the country and its citizen, it is left unchecked, it is left undone. It's a whole different topic now about the Chinese in Dominica, or the Chinese involvement in Dominica. What we have now in Dominica, folks, is like as if we in Dominica can do nothing again for our country in terms of its development. Chinese taking over the place left, right, and center. I normally just get to that city that I showed you earlier on, around 7 o'clock in the morning, folks. And Chinese are opening their doors every morning in Dominica, 7 o'clock. Whilst you have Dominicans, they are out of work, they are out of the same businesses that these Chinese are involved in. Some of these Dominicans are pushed out. So what we are seeing already, folks, is let me make a word, a Chineization of Roseau. And once a people have your city, you can consider your country gone. But that is another topic of discussion for Saturday in terms of the Chinese involvement, where commerce and the economic development or the economic sector is concerned. That is another topic. We all saw the video making the rounds this weekend, Friday into the weekend, where a Dominican man went into a Chinese store and bought something. I'm still trying to locate that man to have a discussion with him. Those of you on the live, if you know that man or if you know the relatives of that man, please send me a message. I need to speak to that man to get the details what went on there, because we saw it on the video, but some of us still maybe don't understand the details of what went on. I really need to have a discussion with that man, because I see that man was shaking in his boots at the aggression of this Chinese national. So whilst Dominicans choose not to speak Mandarin, you have Chinese cursing Dominicans in patois. That is where our country reach, folks. And if we want to sit aside and think that everything is a-okay, then I'm telling you, I want to sound as a broken record. I want to sound as this prophet of doom and gloom, as some may proclaim. But everything is not a-okay, folks. Everything is not a-okay. And what is causing that? It is the level of corruption that this government has embedded itself in, that the country now, it basically is just there. It is just there. Finally, folks, before I leave you tonight, think about that. When I read news across the region and I make contact, I talk to different people across the region, I am getting that sense of other governments. They are, quote unquote, under pressure amidst this COVID-19 situation to deal with the citizenry in terms of stimulus package and, you know, whatever it is. Some have already give, but some saying they cannot make a second round and third round. But when I compare that out there to Dominica, folks, the powers that be would want us to think that everything is a-okay financially. We have not been producing enough. We have not been exporting enough. But this government would want us to think that everything is a-okay where finance is concerned. If the government is a-okay, that is fine, but we would want to know where are all those monies coming from, because that is not monies that is being generated from Dominicans' hard sweat or hard work. No, that is a money that is there, that is circulating in the economy to seemingly keep it afloat, that the ordinary man and woman doesn't know the source of that money. I know we have some passport monies out there, but even with those passports monies, something still doesn't add up. The last finance minister that I knew in Dominica, they used to call him a financial wizard, was Julius Timothy. He used to make things happen where finance is concerned. But I would want to think this Roosevelt Skerrit is 3 times a financial wizard. As to where those funds are coming from, folks, we don't know. And when you hear them speak about what they're giving out, what they're not giving out, what they're still all the programs and up and running and this and that and that and that, you'd wonder where those monies are coming from. But as I said, folks, that is another topic for discussion. I just scratched the surface just to keep your brain ticking. Something is happening in Dominica's economy, folks, that is not adding up. You have a checkbook, you have to reconcile your checkbooks, your sales versus your receipts. And if it doesn't add up, something is wrong. And Dominica's checkbook, I can tell you, from where I am concerned, it doesn't add up. There's a veil that is being pulled over our eyes that we are not seeing. Something is happening that we are not seeing. The ordinary man cannot understand. And that is why, folks, we have to be ever so vigilant about our country. Alright? We have to be vigilant about our country. We have to be. So, folks, I just want to thank you guys for keeping me company each and every Saturday. I love doing it for you. I love doing it for us. It is that engagement that we have to have as citizens among ourselves to educate ourselves. They say, let's pack our West and don't sell tech. Meaning, in my head, there's I alone. No, it is us together as a collective. You share with me, I share with you, and that is what will get us there. That is the modus operandi that we need to take on in moving forward, folks. Alright? So again, I just want to thank each and every one of us. Night has befallen. It is really, really dark. Let me just move that camera so you can see, if you can see, some lovely lights on your city. Okay. It's in your city, right? That is basically your city. That is basically your city. Alright? That is basically your city by night. A lovely country still, but we have to keep working at it and working on it. Good. I thought the rain would give me a little headache this afternoon because for the better part of the day, the rain off and on. So I really thought it was going to give me a little headache tonight, but things hold up pretty nice. So we're going to thank the man above for holding some of that water up there whilst we do our normal chit chat. Alright? Yeah. Next week, folks, most likely next week, I have to fine tune the details. Patricia, you tune in late, but we are in Monbruce. Okay? Monbruce. Next week, folks, I have to fine tune the details, but I think there's a work project, a road project that is ongoing and is happening in Dalis, that link road. I think I'll be bringing us some of the action on the ground as it goes on. Speak to the people, engage the people. That is the road where, what's the name? Or esteemed lawyer is leading the charge on the ground. Singular Bloomquist. Singular, thank you for your hard work. We need that kind of energy and support to continue. Alright? So I think I'll be taking us up to the next week Saturday, I'm hearing, but I have to get those details fine-tuned. And as well, there's another gentleman in the Goodwill area. He's doing a very, very good job. I don't know to let the cat out of the bag as yet, but maybe next week Saturday for our chit chat time as well, the 6 o'clock hour. I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that one. We will be talking to that gentleman. You don't want to miss what that gentleman is doing. You want to hear his story. You want to hear where that idea came from and how he's doing what he's doing. I'll not be letting up the cat out of the bag yet. All I can tell you is stay tuned. Next week Sunday, not Sunday, sorry, Saturday from 6 o'clock, I'll be most likely be talking to that gentleman. But even before that, in the course of the day, I will want to take a run, if the weather holds up and everything goes as planned, to Petit Savan area, where Singular Bloomquist and her guys, they are doing a very tremendous work on the ground in terms of opening up that access so that they could have quicker access to Roseau from that end. All right. So folks, let me just run through some of those of you watching with me tonight. That is it for me tonight. Again, I just want to thank you. Mr. Vincent Warrington, you are the #1 batsman, always opening the batting. I want to thank you for that. You're doing a very, very good job, brother. You're not out on what? I say you're not out on 45. So you have half a century in sight, but you still have the magic figure, the 100. All right. Primrose Polidor, Vivian Bastian, all of you folks, thank you very much for viewing tonight. Stephanie John Baptist, good evening to you. Jan Alfred, Steve Benjamin, Daniel Benjamin, what's this one? Jemima, yes, Jemima, that's a nice name. Chislom, good evening to you. Helena Mongery, I touched on you already, good evening to you as well. Helena, can you come here? We can talk about that. Alex Tit, good evening to you, brother. Mr. Chris Bogono, long time to see, long time to hear. We need to touch base, brother. We need to touch base. But I keep following you yourself. Continue to do your work. Daniel Benjamin, good evening to you as well. Aura Button, a favorite as well. Good evening to you, brother Aura. I love that energy that you give out. We have here Dennis Walter, is that? Good evening as well. Stephanie John Baptist, Stephanie Sagafet. Flo Joseph, good evening to you. Helen, we touched you already. Mali Ostri, another solid patriotic sister right there, good evening to you as well. Marshall Lawrence, good evening. Eliza Lewis, blessed good evening. Anitha Adams, another solid patriotic sister, always on the ball, good evening. Patricia Zamo is another solid patriotic sister, so from St. Martin, good evening to you as well. Mary Lorio, that is what I'm seeing there, good evening to you. There's a name there, Sunshine J, is that? Yeah, Sunshine J. Lloyd Lockhart, good evening to you. Francis Ansem, that's a usual suspect right there. Catherine Simon, Jerry Graham, John Alfred, I touched you already. Carol, good evening to you right there, Carol. And the list goes on. Vincent Samantha Challenger, see you here. Maureen Joseph. Who else? We have some more people here. One goes by the name of Lilac Rose. Lilac Rose, good evening to you. Frank, that is what? Thai Frank, good evening to you. Kerry Lockhart Savage, good evening to you as well. And the list goes on and on. Folks, if I don't call your name, forgive me for that. It's a lot of names here. Melanie Hector, Shirley George, sorry. Santia Tia is watching, good evening as well. Cara Pinnock, and the list goes on and on and on. Let me just back up so I can get some of you who just tuned in whilst I was going through the list. Medina, good evening to you, and the list goes on. All right, folks, so that is it for me here in a nutshell. I just want to say, continue to work for your country, Dominica. Together, we will do it, all right? There's an old saying that goes, together we can, together we will overcome anything that will or may come in our way, all right? Thank you, folks. Blessed night. Good evening to you all. Bye-bye now.